on guys, Cole here. Today we're going to be talking about my Ferro FCPC, how I had it kitted out for all of my deployment to Africa back in 23, and how I kind of am running it now, and my overall thoughts on it compared to other plate carriers out there on the market. Let's jump into it. So first and foremost, if you're new into kind of the body armor space and you're just trying to look for what is like an entry-level plate carrier, this is not what I'm going to recommend for you, especially if you're on a budget. I would recommend the Crye Precision JPC, the jumpable plate carrier. One specifically, there's a 1 and there's a 2. The 1 is like $200 and you're getting Crye Precision quality stitching and materials, and that's really hard to beat. The Crye Precision 2 offers a little bit more like specialty niche features that I don't think the entry person is really going to need, so it's a little bit more money. I have a full review comparing the two of those jumpable plate carriers to one another, so you can check that out on the channel. But I would recommend the JPC for an entry-level plate carrier. For me, this is not the first nor is it the 5th plate carrier that I've ever owned. For me, like, I grew up in the Army back in 2013, rocking like ACU IOTVs, and we got IOTVs and like really crappy plate carriers for deployment. And then after that, it was still just mainly using a lot of issued stuff. I got my first JPC right before getting off of active duty. I went back and forth. I had a JPC, then I got a 2, then I went back to the 1, then I got a 2 again, just because I realized that, well, when I had the first JPC, I was like, oh, there's a second one, I'm going to go get that. And then I realized it's not an actual complete plate carrier out of the bag, and I had to go buy a whole lot of extra stuff for it. And then I realized that it just had a bunch of features that I didn't really need anyways. So I went back to a 1, and then I had pretty much kitted out my JPC 1 over the next few years to where it was essentially just, I could be running all of my stuff on a JPC 2 just without all the extra add-on pieces. So I got a JPC 2. And then I ran that for a few years, and eventually I started seeing the Ferro FCPC on all these like YouTube cool guy videos, and so I was just seeing it a lot. And so I'd never really looked into Ferro too much, and eventually when I came down on orders for my last deployment, I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and buy one. I want to check it out. I want to see what the hype is all about and wear it while I'm deployed. And so I have a pretty fleshed out opinion on this thing, as I wore it every day more or less for a year straight. So that's kind of my background on plate carriers and how I came to this one. This is not an entry-level plate carrier. It's pretty expensive. Again, it's just like the JPC 2. You're not getting a full carrier right out of the bag. You're going to have to buy some extra stuff. But I had acquired all of the extra pieces that I was going to need to run it the way that I wanted to run it, so I was okay with that. So that's kind of the background, how I came to the Ferro as opposed to other plate carriers. I have also ran London Bridge's 6094, the Sentinel plate carrier, I think it's called. I've tried AVS's. I've tried a lot of different things. This plate carrier by far is hands down my favorite. And as I talk about how I have it kitted out, we're going to kind of come to that conclusion of why. When we talk about plate carriers as opposed to a belt, like my gun belt's right here, we have to think about what are the things that we're required to carry and how do we want to disperse that load, okay? So we should see a belt. This is if you're in a military capacity. If you're in a belt, if you're going to run a belt, it should be to supplement your body armor. Okay, this is like the primary means of carrying your entire kit, your loadout. You only should get a belt if you can really justify cross-loading. When you just find yourself with too much stuff and you need to lighten the load on your plate carrier, that's when you can really dive into a belt. But I see a lot of people overloading their belts, and I'm not really into that either. I just want this thing to take enough of the weight off of my plate carrier and keep this streamlined and minimalist, but I'm also not trying to overload this, okay? But they're really, in my mind, I see them as two different lines of carrying equipment. This is the primary, and a belt is the supplementary. So first, as somebody who's in the infantry, I have to consider ammo. So I need to be able to carry 7 mags on my person. However, if you're a saw gunner or a machine gunner of any sort, you're not going to carry all of your ammo on your kit, right? Like you carry, when I was a saw gunner for like 2.5, 3 years. I carried 2 drums, so 400 rounds on my chest. I would have 100 or 200 rounds on my gun, and then the rest of my loadout, which is 400 or 500 rounds, would be in my bag, and I would resupply myself. And so that's kind of what I started to transition to with my M4, especially as I became an NCO and I started to have to carry more stuff. Radios, spare batteries, team equipment, methods of marking, maybe star clusters, smokes, all of that stuff, plus mission essential equipment, a GPS, etc. The load just grew. I went to a belt to kind of take some of that off so that I could streamline this. And I started looking for other products that were out there that could help me streamline and slim down my plate carrier, because trying to carry 7 mags on your body armor and radios and all the things that I just listed off is just unrealistic unless you want to be like this wide, and it's just ridiculous. So for me, I am a huge fan of the Spiritus placards. That's just my go-to. I have more than just this one of the Mark V's. I had a Mark IV in the past as well. I've had the Haley micro rig. I keep coming back to this. The Spiritus Mark V, like I said, this is their cool Tiger Stripe one, but I also have a multicam one that I used on deployment. This is like everything that you need and nothing you don't, but you have the option to expand it if you need to, if the mission requires. So that's my go-to for carrying my mags. And with my ammunition, I'm typically going to carry 3 mags center up front on my chest. There are a lot of options out there. If you wanted to kind of expand out, you could have expander wings, you could have mag pouches on the side or what have you, but I would typically just run my 3 here. I would run my 1 on my belt, and then I'd run 1 in the gun, and then my other 2 mags would be in my assault pack. And that's how I carry all my ammo. Just, I didn't want to overload all my stuff, so I carried stuff in my bag to resupply myself. The same kind of mindset as a machine gunner would have. That's the justification that I went with, and my leadership agreed with it. So if you're some like senior NCO or officer out here and your head's exploding, that's the thought process. So in addition to that, as we go around to, well, we'll hit the right side, because this is really the only thing that is noteworthy, is just a smoke grenade pouch. As an NCO, you have to have a way to carry smoke grenades and other methods of marking. So I would just carry my smoke grenade here, but typically my right side, I wanted to keep it really slimmed down, just if I needed to draw my sidearm, just so I'd have a nice clean draw with my pistol. Real quick, before we rotate around to the left, we'll address this. This is a phone board from Persec Gear, one of our brothers to the north from Canada. This phone board is awesome. He makes a ton of awesome stuff that's all extremely cost effective and very competitive in regards to quality, okay? So I would highly recommend you guys check him out. I've had his belts. He used to do some like Apple Watch bands that were pretty cool, but I've had this phone board. I had this pretty much the entire time I was deployed and used it on every mission, and it's held up great. I love it. But as we rotate around to the left, you'll also see that I have my GPS here, my Garmin. This is just here because I'm not actively wearing it on my wrist, but if we were actually going out on a mission, then I would take it off and I would just wear it on my wrist throughout the duration of the patrol. But you'll start to see that all of my comms setup is all on my left-hand side. So I have my push-to-talk here that goes to my Peltors, right? I have a down lead that comes out, plugs into here, and then this cable connects into the radio. And then from there, I have an antenna relocator kit that is this piece right here that plugs into the antenna port. And then I have this antenna routed around my cummerbund into my rear plate bag, and the top of the antenna is just sitting like at the top edge of my plate bag. And that worked perfectly the entire time I was deployed. So being able to streamline and keep the excess out, especially with antennas and commo equipment, hand mics, you'll see a lot of guys with an antenna sticking up in their face, and then they have this hand mic that's kind of just dangling around over here, and you can't really keep any kind of noise discipline with it because you're keying up and it's a really loud beep, and then when they come back over the radio to talk to you, then it's just a loud speaker. So I really liked having a headset so that I could just mitigate all that. And then this antenna relocator is just another huge lifesaver. But this is my radio pouch, obviously. So there's that. And then I also have just kind of a general purpose pouch right here. And typically when I was on deployment, I would run a GP pouch behind my pistol, like right here, kind of at like my 5 o'clock. And that's where I keep my night vision. Okay, getting back into like what do you need to carry for your job. So being an infantryman, we're thinking ammo, we're thinking night vision, we're thinking land nav supplies and med supplies, right? Those are kind of like the big four as a Joe anyways, and then it expands from there. So currently this would be my nods pouch, but I also have land nav equipment in there right now. I ran a Spiritus GP pouch on my belt. It has nice little tie down loops on the inside of it so that I could actually have my tie down carabiner to the inside of the pouch so that I didn't have to worry about my nods falling out of the pouch. So that's how I would do that. Again, just streamlining the primary carrying piece, being the plate carrier. But right now it's just got land nav stuff in it, compass, protractor, maps, pencils, stuff like that. Some spare batteries and some VS17 panels in there. Rotating around to the back, before we get to the bag, what I have mounted on there, we're going to talk kind of the last piece of what you should be thinking about how you're going to carry it in regards to the military or police, law enforcement, whatever, is med. Everybody has to have an IFAC. As you saw in my belt video, I do have a small IFAC on my belt, but my primary IFAC is the Ferro trauma roll, and you can kind of see the red pull tab on the bottom. It's hidden by the bag on my back, but I have a red pull tab. It's just red electrical tape on either side, and I can pull it from either side. And our rule, typically most units, it's like on your left side of your cummerbund. It has to be marked. My unit started letting us get away from that. They said this is kind of the one exception to that rule. And so it kind of became like a platoon SOP. Like everybody in my platoon just started getting these and running these because, again, it just clears up more real estate and it just makes sense. And we're doing a whole lot of mounted patrols. So sitting in a vehicle for an extended period of time is kind of nice to just have this nice little relatively soft back pad as some extra lumbar support. It's not a huge difference, but it's kind of nice. So there's that. So that's kind of like all of my stuff in regards to infantry equipment requirements for the individual soldier. So my ammo is accounted for, my night vision, we addressed that. We talked being an NCO, my radio, we talked land nav equipment, and we talked med. So all of my bases are covered between this and my belt, and then whatever is left over is in my bag as far as ammo is concerned. But the new thing on my back is from this company called Summer of Bummer. And I've not seen them a whole lot. They seem like a relatively new company, but they made this product that is pretty awesome, and I highly recommend you guys check them out. And I'm going to do a deep dive review on the product itself in a separate video, but just to show you guys, it is a removable back panel insert, okay, with essentially a rail system, okay. So it's got a pull handle on the top that you pull up. And it's got this plastic insert that you mount whatever it is to. It can be individual pouches, or this is my Eagle Industries yoke bag. I have just the bag mounted to the insert itself. And then the back, as you can see it here, is just kind of a rail system. And so these high points right here kind of just make it easier to feed the back panel back onto it. But it's nice to have so that now whatever's on my back is not restricted from me. I don't have to ask other people, hey, can you get this off my back? I can just pull the entire insert off. I can get whatever I need and I can restow it. And I don't have a ton of practice with this, but just to demonstrate, I'm typically just grabbing the bottom ends of the insert, and I'm finding those two high points, and then I'm just sliding the insert straight back down. And then I'll reach up and pull it the rest of the way down, and it's seated. So just to demonstrate for you guys again, I can grab the pull handle, pull the entire insert out, get what I need out of it, and then I'm just going to grab the bottom and that's it. Super simple, super efficient. It's an awesome concept, and they did a really good job with it. So I'd recommend you guys check that out. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the plate carrier. Some other little key features about this. I did get the structural cummerbund, which is, you can kind of see here, it's got the Tegris lining on the inside of it. Absolutely, it helps take a lot of the weight off. Now, this, I have some space in here, right? I'm not carrying plates in it right now. They're at work. But when this thing has plates, it is nice and snug. But the structural cummerbund absolutely helps to take a lot of the weight off of your shoulders and kind of just gives you a hug. It does have elastic in the back so that there's stretch to it. So it just feels like the whole carrier is giving you a hug, and it doesn't feel like you're having to carry all that weight on your shoulders, which is really, really nice. I think that it is the perfect blend between the minimalism of a JPC and the structural integrity of an ABS and the harness system. This does a really good job of kind of blending the two. It's an extremely minimalist plate carrier, but you can actually load this thing down and it's not going to feel saggy. It's not going to feel like all the weight is just riding your shoulders. It does a very good job of dispersing the weight. The other thing that is one of my favorite features of this plate carrier is the Cobra buckles. So as you can see here, I have a Cobra buckle attachment. So one will come with the carrier. The one for the cummerbund is an add-on extra piece that you have to buy, but it's money. It's very worth it because I don't have to lift my flap up. It kind of acts as like, if you've seen the First Spear tubes, I personally like Ferro's Cobra buckles better. So all I have to do is detach here and detach on my shoulder strap, and I can slide the carrier off sideways. I don't have to drag my carrier and my shoulder straps over my big ass head and my ears, feeling like I'm going to rip my ears off every time that I have to take it off or put it on. And to put it back on, I just swing it over sideways, buckle in there, and we're good. It's a luxury feature that if you have never had it on a plate carrier, you're not going to understand until you get one. So check that out. Don't just run just this one and not this one. And by the way, I was a little bit apprehensive of this Cobra buckle being on my shoulder because I thought it might impact my ability to place my buttstock of my weapon properly, or I thought it might dig into my collar. None of those have been issues. After wearing this thing, like I said, almost every day for a year, on patrols, being in a tower pulling guard, mounted and dismounted patrols, sitting in vehicles, patrolling through jungles, I've never noticed this thing. The only thing that I have to say about this is that it's awesome to have because I can quickly don and doff my plate carrier. So there's literally no negative feedback on the Cobra buckle being right here. So that's pretty much it. I can't recommend this plate carrier enough. If you can afford it and you can afford all the extra add-ons, I absolutely recommend this plate carrier. I'm never going to really try another plate carrier. I might get something else just to check it out and make an opinion, maybe make a video reviewing a certain plate carrier, but I'm never going to need another plate carrier to take on a deployment. If I come down on deployment orders tomorrow, this is the plate carrier that I'm taking with me. It's just absolutely money. There's no features that I feel like I'm missing out on with this thing. It does everything that I expect of a plate carrier, as good as I could really possibly hope for. So it's a little pricey, but if you can afford it, I absolutely recommend it. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to leave a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what plate carrier you're running. If you're running a Ferro, how you have it set up. What are some different things that you have on it compared to how I am running mine. If you have any questions about how mine is set up, by all means, we love to get in the comments and respond to positive feedback. It's something that I'm actively trying to discipline myself to not engage with negative feedback. So just know if you leave a negative comment, we're not going to respond to you. But if you leave a positive comment or something genuinely asking a question, we'd be happy to have that conversation with you. Please like the video and check out all of our other social medias. We do have the link tree will be in the bio or whatever it is. We'll have our link tree that has all of our other social medias, especially because Instagram shadow banned us already. So you can only find us by actually clicking the link to our Instagram page, and check out the website. I'm not wearing a shirt right now, but I am wearing our hat. We have all of our new merch, to include 2 new t-shirts. One is gray. It's kind of a cool Greek theme. And then the other one is an Air 670-1 compliant Nemean 2025 team shirt. So be sure to check those out. So again, follow, subscribe, like, all that crazy stuff for all the social medias. You guys have no idea how much it helps us out in growing this little passion project of ours. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.